Hi, everyone. I'm Bill Osmolsky, content director for the MacIver Institute. This is the MacIver Newsmakers podcast, which, as I've mentioned before, is rapidly morphing into the MacIver Campus Report because we're joined today by a professor at UW River Falls. I hope professor is the right term, Trevor Tomesh,
Yep.
who recently made some waves in the wake of the Charlie Kirk assassination, and we're going to get into all that here in a minute. But Trevor, could you just give us a quick introduction of who you are?
Yeah, sure. Well, first to start out with, I have to say that my views expressed here are my own, and they are not necessarily the views of the University of Wisconsin River Falls or the University of Wisconsin system. And I got to make sure that I say that. So that's to start out. But yeah, I'm Dr. Trevor Tomesh, and I am an assistant professor at the University of Wisconsin River Falls at the Computer Information and Data Science Department. I guess I grew up in northwestern Wisconsin, Cameron, Wisconsin, little tiny town up here in Wisconsin. Went to school at UWRF as an undergrad, and then moved to Canada. Moved to the UK and then moved to Canada to finish my grad work. And then I finished up in Canada, and then came back down here back in 2022, and I've been teaching there ever since.
So
Um,
you are, I know this is going to come up later, but you are not a tenured professor. You are just getting started
I
in
am
your
not a
career.
tenured Yep. I am not a tenured professor. I am just getting started in my career. So,
Um,
but better time than any at the start, I guess.
well, all right. So you got hired in 2022. For anyone that has any doubts, conservative professors, conservatives can still get hired at the UW system. Um, so you're a great case in point, but that's kind of drawn a little heat on you. But yeah, so being a conservative on campus, everyone knows you're a conservative on campus. Tell us, what happened September 10th, September 11th, what after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. What did you witness, and what did you notice from your conservative students? That know that you're also a fellow conservative.
Well, to start with, I was the Turning Point USA faculty advisor for our Turning Point chapter on
Mhm.
campus at UWRF until they disbanded a couple years ago. They're now picking it back up with one of my colleagues actually at the helm. But I'm also the faculty advisor for the College Republicans and the faculty advisor for the Young Americans for Liberty group on campus, so all rather kind of conservative groups on campus. And so, I mean, that kind of made it obvious to a lot of people. And so, because of that, of course, I was really familiar with Charlie Kirk, watched a lot of his videos, just really great example of both a political pundit debater and somebody who really does express his faith on college campuses, which is the most important thing to me, is that people feel comfortable being able to express their Christian faith on campus. Um, so on the day that it happened, the day that Charlie Kirk was shot, I just finished up class. I was driving home, and my wife said, actually, no, I read on Facebook that Charlie Kirk was shot and it doesn't look good. And then I saw that video. I stopped at a Quick Trip, hopped out at the gas station, pulled up X, and the video was everywhere. I don't know if you've seen the video, but it is. It was. I mean, I grew up in the 1990s and the early 2000s, and the wild, wild west of the internet. And I've seen some stuff that really, really got to me, very, very much so. So it's not like I have a weak stomach. So fast forward to a couple days later, I was waiting to see if the university was surely going to send out some sort of a condemnation, at least, of campus violence, right? So the University of Wisconsin has a neutrality policy that was adopted back in, I think it was June or July of this year, and so they've decided now that they're going to be doing campus neutrality and not make statements on anything that doesn't pertain specifically to the operations of campus. And this is a new policy. If you go back through the past, if you go to, for example, Facebook and you type in UWRF and then George Floyd, you will see a big long statement about the brutal murder, in their words, of George Floyd. Or if you go to UWRF space Pride, you'll see a lot of celebration of Pride stuff throughout. But now, starting this summer, they've decided to implement this policy, which is great. This is something that I've been pushing for across. I mean, I did 10 years in Canada as a grad student, and they are probably some of the most biased institutions of higher learning that I've ever witnessed. It's ridiculous how activist they are. But so seeing this here in the United States, great. But there's a big but there. My First of all, those statements are still up, right? So that's one thing. So they, to me, read as standing endorsements of those positions. But second, the students, they needed to hear from somebody. And the day that I was going to go into class, I knew I was going to have to address this at least with one of my classes. I teach a class called cyber ethics. And in the cyber ethics class, a really, really large part of that class is the First Amendment, free speech, and that involves civil discussion, civil discourse, civil debate on campuses. And so I'm like, okay, well, I have to address this. And so I knew I was going to have to give a lecture about civil debate on campuses and what that should look like and what the mission of campuses are, because this is something that students don't hear, and they need to hear what the entire purpose of university is, which is, of course, to train them to be capable self-governance, right? That's why we fund these state institutions, because we are a self-governing nation, and we need to have a civilian population that's capable of self-governance. So they have to be able to reason and debate civilly and stuff like that. So I knew it was going to be tough. I didn't sleep. I woke up really, really early and just prayed as hard as I could. And I wrote my wife a note before I left that if I don't return, that I love you, because I was so scared. Like, was it open season on conservatives on campus now? Is that what's going on? Then I went to campus, and I gave my talk. But by the end of that, I mean, when I did that talk with my students, I asked them, I said, how many of you have heard anything from anybody in the capacity of authority, right? Like either a professor or the university talking about this, and nobody raised their hands. None of them. And actually, one student shouted out, "Hell no," angrily.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, well, how many of you saw that video? And almost every single one of them raised their hands. And so that struck me as, well, somebody was going to say something. It needed to be me, because nobody's going to say anything. Not only that, but I mean, you've seen hundreds of university professors and high school teachers and all these different people went on social media and celebrated the death of a guy who, honestly, if you look at his politics, he's a Democrat from 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's not especially conservative. His positions were rather moderate in a lot of ways. I mean, Charlie, like I said, Charlie was the nice guy. You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it astonishes me that these people would come up with these ideas that he's somehow a Nazi or a white supremacist or fascist, and all of these horrible words that they keep throwing out at him. And that's what our young people see, right? That's what they see. They see teachers, they see professors, they see them saying horrible things about the execution of somebody who they probably have been watching since they were young. I mean, he's been on YouTube since 2012, right? And so somebody needed to say something. And so I sat down and I was frustrated. I had written a couple of letters to the university, to different parts of the administration, and asked them, hey, we need to say something. Can we please say something? And I got no response. I even called a couple of times, no response. And then I was like, and this was like I think it was like a Sunday night or something, really late. One of those, I think it was really late. I tossing and turning, and I'm like, I got to do something. And so I responded just to a prompt on Wisconsin Right Now. And apparently that resonated with some people.
Yeah, I saw a few hundred retweets and likes and a bunch of responses. So, that prompted the university to tell you, hey, got to say that, you are speaking for the university.
Yep.
And so, yeah, you throw in the disclaimer, fine, whatever. Some of the things that you pointed out in that letter that really caught my attention. One of them was how, no campus response, but like you've been talking about here, there's a precedent for the campus to respond to potentially traumatic events. And one of the examples you used in the letter was traumatic events such as a religious woman coming to campus to talk about celibacy. That apparently was a potentially traumatic event. Seeing a conservative commentator assassinated, essentially live streamed, apparently is not so traumatic. But, what was your take on that?
Yeah, well, so once again, we're balancing this issue with the newfound respect for system neutrality or for institutional neutrality, which, by the way, I am 100% for, and I applaud the university for going that step. However, like I said, I just Googled up, I went on Facebook and typed in UWF Sister Cindy. This happened in 2023. If you look it up, statement from UW Revolves Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging, talking about how the views shared may be impactful or harmful to you as students or individuals. And there's a safe and brave space that they will be hosting that will need a staff member to open an ear and share direct experiences, frustrations, and or work through feelings or thoughts about the visit. This is the place. Need a place to duck away and find a distraction. Come on in. Need a place where you can authentically be your whole self. And so that's still up there. And this is in response to Sister Cindy, who, she talks about celibacy. She does it in a way that resonates with Gen Z. Her and Brother Jet, she's actually toned her rhetoric down a lot since I was an undergrad and encountered them. But yeah, it was just, to me, it was just like, wow. So you have issued this statement in 2023 on Sister Cindy of all people, and the harms that you may experience from her visit. But these students see a man on a college campus, a university campus, doing what we as professors should be doing, which is to be having difficult discussions about things that you're not supposed to talk about in polite society. That's the point. He gets his throat shot out by a 30-06 round and bleeds out in front of thousands of people and then millions on X. And these students see this actual traumatic event, and nothing. Not only nothing, but celebrations. Are you kidding me? From people who are supposed to be protecting children. So
then the campus tells you, hey, we know you're in charge of all these conservative groups. If you have any conservative students that are traumatized by all this, you can send them over to the DEI office and they'll get some help there.
Yeah. So what that was about is, so I do have to give props to that they actually did reach out to me. And in the last few weeks, I've been working closely with the middle administration, particularly like the dean of students. I actually have a scheduled meeting with him next week because they do want to support our students. At least from what I can tell, they do want to support our students, all of our students, including our conservative students. You'd be surprised how many conservatives there are. Well, maybe you wouldn't at UWRF because that's an agriculture school, primarily. But still, so I did get a letter, and I will absolutely give them props for this. They sent me a letter saying that we are aware that you are somebody who students look to for guidance and whatnot. What they said was there are resources available to them, counseling services and whatnot. And I kind of looked at that and I'm like, because the counseling services, a lot of my students, the conservative students, they don't trust the counselors. First of all, they're in basically Rodley Hall, which houses the DEI, or they call it the DIB, the Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Center. And it's like they're basically the same building. And a lot of conservative students, when you say, would you like to go to counseling? And they're like, well, I had a student say, I want to go talk to a woke counselor about a conservative, about one of my conservative childhood heroes. It's like, yeah, I get it. And so I did bring this up with them. And we've been talking through it, trying to figure out how we can best support our students. The most concerning thing to me right now, actually, is some of the response from their students. So, for example, there was a chalking that the college Republicans had done on campus, in response to Charlie Kirk's assassination. They did a memorial. It was a nice memorial, a bunch of, it was chalk. But, and then somebody, a couple of hours later, had the audacity to go out there while there were still people chalking and write horrible things over defacing their memorial,
Hmm.
including some of the words that were inscribed on the bullet, the
Oh,
casing
wow. Wow.
that killed Charlie Kirk,
Hmm.
which really disturbed. It disturbed me first of all. I mean, that's a really, really messed up thing to do. Uh, and you can imagine, like, had it been, you know, somebody, for example, another faith, right? Had it been somebody from another faith who was assassinated, or somebody of another political position who was assassinated, had they been celebrating with that, it would be taken as maybe a terroristic threat. Because that's crazy. And of course, it's just probably kids being silly.
Yeah.
But no, it was disturbing.
Huh.
And
Huh.
I don't know that anything, I don't know what's going to come of that. That's still under investigation. And there were some other incidences that students brought to my attention that I had to file a report for one. There's another one that's still under investigation that I can't really talk about yet because I don't know the details yet. But there's the other students, there are a number of agitators who are really excited and happy about the death of a father of two who just wanted to have difficult conversations on campus. And I mean, that is a societal sickness that I don't know how we're going to deal with. I don't know how we're going to heal that kind of sickness because that is a societal sickness.
Tell me about the young Republicans or college Republicans' response on campus. Here at UW Madison, they're having some of the biggest turnouts they've ever had, for years at their events and
Yeah.
interest and people signing up. So tell me, what are you seeing at UW River Falls for that?
Well, it's a little bit difficult to measure with UW River Falls. Not a whole heck of a lot, at least that I have seen, has outwardly changed. But River Falls is kind of a quiet place, right?
Okay.
Um, I don't know anything about the statistics of people signing up. My guess is that there would be probably a number of people who were signing up that weren't interested before. I can tell you though that in response to this, it did motivate a bunch of students to try to start up the Turning Point USA chapter again. So there is that for sure.
Yeah,
And
give us a quick history about that because you mentioned you used to have one, you don't now. You're trying to get it back together.
yeah,
So
so the Turning Point USA, when I got here, I was asked if I would be a faculty advisor for it. And they ran pretty strong for a couple of semesters. Then the president had moved on, and it kind of dissolved for probably about a year. There was some rumblings trying to get it started up again, and then it dissolved again. And now finally, after this, there is a new concerted effort to get it up again. Not under my leadership, under one of my colleagues and friends, who also is a conservative faculty member
we got
on
two. We
campus.
got two of you at River Falls.
There's more than two. There are
Wow.
several faculty members and staff members at River Falls who are quiet conservatives, and I'm not capable of being quiet. That's, I think, my problem. I never have been, even when I was an undergrad. But yeah, so the Turning Point chapter is starting back up, and I know the students who are leading it. At least one of the students who's leading it, and very, very good, a very active student. Um, and I think that they'll probably get some good things going with that. And of course, Turning Point's all about bringing conservative perspectives to campus. And of course, Charlie Kirk was the founder, and they want to try to get like debates and get speakers and all that sort of thing. So we got some good things as far as that's concerned. Um, yeah.
What kind of event? I mean, have you guys had a big event since that happened? Because like UW Madison, they're having events like every week, so they could kind of gauge interest and
Sure.
excitement and enthusiasm. So
No, there haven't really been any events yet.
okay,
And of course, once again, this is all driven by the students.
yeah,
So as much as I can poke and prod them, it's all driven by them. There are a couple of potential speakers coming down the pike here, which I haven't confirmed with them yet that it's going to go forward. But actually, because of all this, because of my speaking out, I had a couple of people reach out to me that a couple of people reach out to me that I'm very excited about potentially hosting. I don't want to say anything until they're
Oh,
confirmed,
sure.
but there's a couple of speakers that I know, and but the Republicans in particular though have had in the past legislators come and speak and stuff like that. Yeah, there's some exciting events planned, and that's one thing that in all of this, it's really cool to see that um, people are coming out of the woodwork and they're saying, no, hey, look, uh, we need to be decent people.
Hmm.
We need to allow the sorts of conversations on campus that need to be had on campus. And seeing all of these memorials, seeing vigils popping up all over the world, even it's been really, really something that I don't know. I think we're seeing something that we haven't seen since maybe the 1960s going on here.
Well, Trevor, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me this morning, and you're gonna have to keep us updated on these events, as you do unveil them, and so that we can, help get the word out too.
For sure. Yep.
But yeah, keep up the great work at UW River Falls, and we'll have to check in with you again before too long.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right, for the MacIver Newsmakers podcast campus report, I'm Bill Osmolsky, content director for the MacIver Institute. We'll catch you next time.